Greetings, Japan fans. In today's show, we're going to be looking at leaders doing dumb things. Maishu, arigatou gozaimasu, and welcome back to the 7th year of the Leadership Japan series. I'm your host, Dr. Greg Story, your corporate coaching and training guy committed to your success. The president of Dale Carnegie Training Japan, a best-selling author, Japan Sales Mastery and Japan Business Mastery. My new book, Japan Presentations Mastery, is going to be released shortly. We are broadcasting around the world from Minato-ku in the center of Tokyo, the leadership capital of Japan. Now, this podcast brings insights, examples, and experience about leading in Japan. And trust me, it is different here. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with your family, friends, and colleagues. We are not being sponsored by Libsyn, but we value your privacy, which is why we have our podcast hosted by Libsyn, who, unlike many other podcast hosts, have a strict policy that does not allow access to your private information by anyone. Here is our daily podcast lineup on iTunes. Mondays, the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show. Tuesdays, the Presentations Japan series. Every second Tuesday, the Business Tatsujin no Oshie Show. Wednesdays, the Sales Japan series. Thursdays, the Leadership Japan series. And every second Thursday, the Business Pro Podcast Show. Fridays, the Japan Business Mastery Show. And Saturdays, Japan's top business interviews. Before we get going, today's handy Japanese phrase is omedetou. Omedetou means congratulations, very informal. You wouldn't say that to someone older than you or who was your boss, or definitely wouldn't say it to a client. If you were doing that, you'd have to say omedetou gozaimasu, which is much more polite. But omedetou between friends is fine. And this would be someone passed an exam, or maybe one of their kids got accepted into the university of choice, or whatever it might be. So just simple congratulations, like maybe a good English equivalent would be like congrats. That's very informal, right? Congrats. It's not even congratulations. Congrats. You might say omedetou, omedetou, omedetou. Hey, congratulations. Omedetou, omedetou, omedetou. Hey, great news. Well done. Congratulations. Omedetou, omedetou, omedetou. This is episode number 414, and we are talking about leaders defending the indefensible. The client complains directly to your staff member about their poor service. Should you go to bat for your team member? Should you publicly apologise and deal with the errant staff member privately? Should you make a public show of solidarity with the staff member and criticise the manner in which the complaint was made? Should you aggressively argue the point with a client? Should you just ignore it and get back to other pressing matters? The answers to these real-life situations will differ depending on the culture of your society and your legal system. America is a very litigious society, and there seems to be a built-in reflex to not admit guilt, accountability, or responsibility. The upshot of this positioning is to ignore what was said to your staff member and hope it goes away naturally after the client has gotten their complaint off their chest. Privately, the boss can then commiserate about the nasty client and bond with its staff member. Loopholes are always in high demand in these tense situations. The favorite one is to complain about how the client communicated the complaint. If the client is really losing it and abusing the staff member, that is great for the boss. Now, their high horse can be mounted and a full attack on the unreasonableness of the client can be commenced. It's a bit trickier when there is no name-calling and no florid abuse of the staff member's stupidity. A clear outline of the staff member's failings by the client is annoying because it is hard to beat it back. An attack on the language can be made anyway, and various deductions made about the accusatory nature of the remarks and appeals made for fair play. If the labour market is tight, the boss may be prepared to lose a client in order to retain a key staff member. How about Japan? Arguing the point with the client is unthinkable. The same applies to taking responsibility and accountability. Japanese clients expect this, and if it is not forthcoming, they will keep pushing until they get it. No sweeping under the tatami is acceptable here in Japan. The concept that the client has to be moderate in their communication of their complaint is a non-starter. The client is allowed to be as obstreperous as they like, and the guilty party has to accept it. So, as the boss, how do you deal with your staff member? Do you hang them out to dry and bear the full force gale of invective from the client as a good lesson in client service requirements? Do you stand up for them and defend them against the client's claims while privately reading them the riot act? Do you decide the staff member is someone you would rather retain than the client? Find out more when we come back from the break. Our show today is brought to you by our public programs, but we also do custom-made in-house classes. Now, we do them in our super safe classroom, we do them live online, and we do them in Japanese, and we do them in English. Today's show is brought to you by, on June 9th, How to Present Online, on June 11th, Performance Evaluations, June 15, Managing Stress, June 16, number 1 in a 5-session series on virtual selling. June 18, we're doing evaluation systems and coaching. You can find out more about those programs on our website at enjapan.dalecarnegie.com. You can email me at greg.story@dalecarnegie.com. Get my best-selling books, Japan Sales Mastery, the Bible for Selling in Japan, and Japan Business Mastery, as well as my new book, Japan Presentations Mastery. If you like learning by watching videos, we have over 1,000 for you there on Japan Dale Carnegie TV on YouTube. We release 3 TV shows every week on YouTube. The Cutting Edge Japan Business Show, that's a premier business show in Japan, comes out Mondays. Fridays we have Japan Business Mastery Show. Saturdays, Japan's top business interviews, where I interview leaders in Japan from SMEs all the way up to the corporate captains of industry on one topic, leading in Japan. Every second Thursday, we release the Business Pro Television Show. Don't forget, you can email me at greg.story@dalecarnegie.com. Welcome back. I've recently been in all 3 of these scenarios. I have been the aggrieved client, observing the American style of shifting the blame back to the complaining client model. I stood by my client member's claim against the service provider and went hard to support the argument that the service provision wasn't good enough. When the shape shifting kicked off, I went even harder to counter that nefarious attempt to slip out of the noose. I have fired the client. A very unpleasant client began belittling one of my salespeople when speaking about her. I did not accept that libelous affront and staunchly defended the staff member without hesitation. I then told my salesperson to fire that client and don't deal with them ever again, and to keep a note in our CRM from where they get fired and pop up in another company. Life is short, and they are not the type of person we want to spend any time with, so we should get rid of them forever. And we did. I've screwed up. I have had to go hat in hand and apologise to the client for my shortcomings. I've had to sit there and be berated by the client at length and in great detail for the error. I had to be not only accountable, but also sincerely remorseful and apologetic. I had to determine to give the money back without ever being asked to do so. In principle, we should accept responsibility for our service or product provision, and when it is inadequate, we should accept the blame and do everything we can to fix it. No mealy-mouthed platitudes or counter-offensives against inappropriate language. We should be the one to bear the client's wrath and deal with our client members in private. Is the client always right? No. We should stand ready to fire the client too if that is what the situation calls for. None of this is easy, but we have to determine what we mean when we say we are in the business of serving clients. We have to set the example for everyone to follow, and we have to be consistent. Thank you for joining the Leadership Japan series. If you found the program useful, then share it with your family, friends, and colleagues. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast. Take what you found valuable, immediately put into action, because idea application is what makes winners winners. Be one of them. Remember, I'm your corporate coaching and training guy in your corner, committed to your success here in Nippon.